What was your most unexpected sexual encounter? Mine. One Halloween party, I went as Lieutenant Dangle from Reno 911. A cute girl I knew from high school dressed like Jean Jetson asked for my help in carrying in more beer. She took me downstairs to the basement where she said more beer was, then proceeded to pull my dong out through the short shorts and start plowing me. We had a pretty great quickie, then went back to the party. There was no further contact afterwards. I think she just really liked the short shorts sheriff costume and had no interest in me personally. It's a shame I peaked so early in my life, but I'm sure you all have better stories. When I was 21 or 22, I went to a friend's end of semester party. I had packed up my car to drive back home for the summer the next morning. So I went to the party and I was mingling and met my buddy's mom's friend, who was in her late 40s and gorgeous. Everyone was having a good time and I got to chatting with her and somehow we got on the topic of age gap relationships. She said she didn't feel like it was fair that it's basically accepted that older men could sleep with younger women, but older women sleeping with younger guys was still considered scandalous. Me. Have you ever hooked up with a younger guy? Her? Nope. Me. With balsiness I absolutely would not have had sober at that age. Do you want to? Her. Long pause. Let's go. And we drive off to her place. Now I went to an engineering school filled with nerds and we did nerdy it, like have a weekly game of Risk. Not only that, we bought different helmets and hats to wear during our games. One guy had a Napoleon hat, one guy had Roman helmet, and I had a Viking helmet. I don't remember how it came up, but we agreed to bet that the first person who could get a picture of them having X with their helmet on, everybody else would have to set it as their desktop for a week. Fast forward to us arriving at her place. She walks by my car and looks at all mine in the back seat and sees a Viking helmet. Her? What the hell is that? Me. Oh, it's a Viking helmet. Her? Why do you have that? Me. It's a thing for football games. Her? Oh. Me, liquid courage bubbling up again. You know I actually have this bet to get a picture of me wearing it during X. Her? Really? Bring it in, then. And that's how I hooked up with a cougar and won the Viking helmet bet in the same night. How does this not have more votes? Voice. Toit. See you in Valhalla, boys. Pick or it didn't happen. Yeah, I need a new desktop background. Chick I was on duty overnight in the armory with. I was a SGT. She was a corporal. We cordially hated each other. She was a Richie ladder climber. I was already selected for SSGT and ready to get the frick out and go do something else with my career. I'd made her look bad once or twice just by being a decent marine and not a self-interested AOA. We did heavy weapons count, and I told her to go do the pistols and I'd do the rifles. She went to close the cage and had somehow gotten her utility sleeve cuff caught in the mechanism, which pulled her arm up over her head uncomfortably. Asked for help. I was tall enough to reach up and pull the fabric out. Once I yanked her arm down, we were maybe 6 inches apart, and next thing I know we're going at it with all the rage and hate you could imagine. Definitely an angry frick. We fricked all over that place that night, with hardly a word spoken. Oddly, there was some cuddling in between. 2. Got dressed, did duty change with the new guards, and went to bed. Next day it was like it didn't happen. Right back to cordially hating each other. I still have no idea what the hell that was about. 6 inches is 15.24 centimeters. Read this first before reading the story. Totally thought it's referring to something else. A long-term family friend I grew up with. Known her since I was maybe around 10, something like that. We was fairly close. She's definitely a really pretty, attractive girl and has never had issues with boyfriends in the past. But I've never thought of her any more than that. Towards our late teens, we'd both moved away from our hometown to different parts of the country for various reasons. We kept in touch from time to time and met up a couple times while I was away at university, as it wasn't far from where she lived, but certainly not as close as we used to be. Fast forward some years, we're both in our early 20s, we're the same age, we'd started chatting more often. Started meeting up more often for catch-up sex. Getting fairly close again like we used to be. While on one of these catch-ups she asks if I want to go out on a night out for one of her friend's birthdays in couple weeks time. I'm certainly more of an introvert than she is, but I hadn't been out for a while, so I figured why not. She leaves about a 2-hour drive away and offers to let me stay the night of the party as I'd be drinking and wouldn't be driving back that night for obvious reasons. The night out comes and goes, we have a really nice time out and get very drunk. We stumble back to hers early hours of the morning. We get in the door. She starts walking up the stairs, and just as I turn to go out to the living room to sleep on the sofa, she says to me, "No, don't worry. Just come sleep in my bed with me." So we go upstairs. We get into her bedroom and she starts to get undressed into just her underwear. Up until this point, I'd never even seen her in a bikini, swimsuit before, let alone semi-naked in a thong. I was trying to be mature about it and play it cool like it was nothing, but I couldn't help but look. She gets into bed. I get undressed into my boxers and follow shortly after, getting in the other side of her bed. I'm still feeling fairly drunk to the point where the room is moving by itself. I'm laying there, eyes shut. Then in my ear I hear, "Can we spoon?" I'm freezing. It's middle of December. It was fairly cold, so I agree and assume the position. Nothing wrong with two friends spooning, right? So we're there spooning, and I'm not sure if she was doing it on purpose or not, but could definitely feel her rubbing up against me, and as a result there was definitely no way she couldn't feel me poking her in the bum, if you know what I mean. Degrees. I was still not expecting what happened to happen. I figured she knew these things happen to guys in these scenarios, but to my complete disbelief things started to heat up. We started kissing, touching each other. I started to put my hand down her pants thinking she'd say no or stop me, but nothing. She was so wet at this point. I rolled over on top of her and she pulled my boxers off and pulled me inside her, and I'm still in complete disbelief this is happening. I remember thinking to myself, holy crap, I'm actually inside her right now? We're going at it for like 20-30 minutes. It felt amazing. I'm obviously still fairly drunk at this point, and I definitely felt too drunk to finish. But after those 20-30 minutes or so we both slowed it down, then looked at each other and come to the conclusion it was probably best we stopped, so I pulled out, even though I definitely wanted to carry on. So I rolled back over. We chatted for a bit, said goodnight, then we both passed out at that point. And how did you handle the next morning? Did this change your friendship or not? Because it was just a drunk, enjoyable good time between friends. We woke up following morning. Things seemed fairly fine. I said thank you for a good night and sorry for things getting a bit out of hand. She seemed fine with it. I went home later that day. Then a week or so later, she then announced that she was pregnant with her ex-boyfriend's baby that on said night out she said to me she was never getting back with, because he's a piece of it. We've not spoken since then. It was the fact she flat out lied to my face about it all, and yeah, I didn't want to get involved. I had just been promoted to supervisor and I went out for drinks with the other supervisor and the manager. I had a crush on one of them, but didn't want to get in trouble or whatever. The night continued on and we all crashed at the sup's place, and I'm crashing on the couch and hear them making out. I think, just my luck, and then one of them asks why I haven't joined them yet, so I do. And you know what? It wasn't weird at work. It hurts seeing others live out your dream. One night in college I was asleep in my bedroom and awoke to the sound of a women's chain type belt being undone and then the sound of clothes being removed. Moments later my peanuts was in the mouth of a female, and though I wasn't 100% sure who it was, I had a good idea from the feel of her muscular figure and large firm breasts, so I just went with it in what was a fantastic session. Afterwards I hit the light and my assumption was correct. It was a girl my roommate was dating. It was college. There was a lot of cross-pollination going on. Knowing he was home, I didn't even have to ask. She had come over to get laid, but he was studying for an exam and ignoring her. She told him she could get fricked by any of his 3 roommates if she wanted, and his response was, "I suggest 2 doors down to the left." Great friend. That is a good friend. Truly. We've known each other 45 years. That's one of literally dozens I could tell in that same vein. Gone our different directions and taken different paths several times in our life. I've been married twice. He is a lifelong bachelor. I own a business. He is retired, etc. Only to find ourselves in close proximity and up to crazy shenanigans, even in our middle ages. Currently he lives an hour away and we hang out regularly. We will be doing it till one of us dies. I'm glad a true friendship like that is rare. Most are there for the commodities.